The Rambler Network.
It is time for the book recap, April 2026. This month was a themed month, and that theme is adapted month. Books that were adapted into movies. This was a fun one to do. Also, it was the most books I've ever covered in 1 month. Usually, I cover 10. February, I covered 7, I believe. Yeah. I covered 7 in February. Then I covered 13 in April, which brings the total back to a 10th place. Uh, so now if I keep doing 10 every month, we'll have end on a 10s. This month ended on 40, which, funny enough, last month I hit my initial goal. There's an app called Hardcover. I consider that my main app for logging all this stuff. And my initial goal was 24 books this year, because I didn't realize how quickly I was going to get through them. And so in January, I'm still thinking I'm gonna try to do 24 books this year. And then by the end of the month, I gotten more than that. I gotten 10. I was like, oh, okay, I might have underestimated. So I hit that goal last month. And on Goodreads, I have 3 apps that I use to log the reading thing, and I keep up with it. There's Hardcover, that's the main one. There's Storygraph and Goodreads. And on Goodreads, I also I did that one in the middle of February. I went ahead and I was like, you know what? I might as well start the reading thing. No, end of January. I'm looking here. Near the end of January, I started keeping track, and I set the goal, because by then I knew I was gonna shoot past the 24 goal. So I set my goal to 40 books. I thought January was a fluke. Well, this month, the last book of this month, reached that 40 book goal, and it's only April. So, this is kind of a tester year, and then after this, I'll see how many books I do, and then I'll set my goal next year accordingly. But on to the books. First book I did, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, read by Scott Brick. Started on April 1st, finished on 8th of April. I didn't know what I was expecting, because I know people said that the book was different. And I was thinking, oh, of course it's different. Books are always different than the movies. But this one was a little bit different, a little more different than usual. The book basically starts way before the movie does. Like, it starts with the, John Hannon creating InGen. It starts all the way back then. And, it shows, how he creates the dinosaurs and everything, and how he gets a hold of, Grant and Statler and Ian Malcolm and all them. What's interesting in the movies, in the movie, they don't even know who he is. They meet him for the first time when he takes the helicopter to their dig site. In the book, well, of course they all know who he is. They've done work for him and other things, and yeah, the book is more, I want to say, fleshed out. There's a more wow, that's a weird wording. I was going to say it's more fleshed out. The story is more fleshed out. I don't know. And it's interesting. At the end of the book, it specifically said Ian Malcolm dies. It's actually says that John Hammond and Ian Malcolm died on the island. So I went ahead and I started The Lost World by Michael Crichton, read by Scott Brick. Started the 8th of April, finished the 11th of April. And yeah, I was a little confused because, like I said, the book ends by saying that John Hammond and Ian Malcolm died on the island. But the synopsis says that Ian Malcolm goes to Island B, Site B. And I was like, wait, it said that he died. How does that work out? And people said that The Lost World is even less like the movie than the first one was to It book. And I'm like, well, that's the movie right there. Ian Malcolm goes to Site B. And yeah, that's pretty much the only thing the book has in common with the movie, The Lost World. The The Lost World book is not even remotely close to the movie. I actually understand why Spielberg did it that way, because the the book, so this is going to get confusing. The book is more philosophical, talking chaos theory. It's talking like that. Like, there's very little action. So, yeah, I kind of understand why you did that. Why, like, they made a whole original story for the movie. Also, there's scenes that, like, it shows that dinosaurs are just animals. Like, you can walk around tigers and lions and stuff, and they might not attack you. And, like, you can walk in front of a bear, and it might not attack you. There's scenes where they're walking around T-Rexes, but they're not being attacked, because they're, like, the T-Rex, like, they're not in the right mood or what. I don't remember. It was kind of distracting. I'm like, this is not what I was expecting. I like it. It's like, story-wise, it's not. I want to say there's not much there. Because, like I said, it is more just talking. If they had filmed that, it would mostly be them standing around talking about chaos theory and philosophical stuff. And yeah, I can see why they didn't go that route. And so the third book this month, The Princess Bride by William Goldman, read by Rob Reiner. Started 11th of April, finished 11th of April. Yeah, that was a really quick read. Audiobook. It was only like 2 hours long. And it's narrated by Rob Reiner, who directed the movie, and it was kind of haunting at first. Like, when the audiobook first started and I heard his voice, like, he was just murdered like a few months ago. So, like, the first couple of minutes, I'm like, this is the voice of the guy that was just murdered. But then, like, as it goes on, you kind of forget. And, like, the book's funny. William Goldman wrote the book, and he also wrote the screenplay, and so yeah, it's so in that sense, it's not really that surprising that they basically shot the book. They basically turned the book into the screenplay. Basically, that's what he did when he did that. Only difference it really is that instead of it's a sick kid and the grandfather in the book, it's the author himself. He would, like, cut away, and he's like, well, see, in this scene, in the original, because, like, the whole concept is, this is a classic novel, this is a classic book from hundreds of years ago, and his grandfather read it to him, and he didn't remember all these boring parts, so he's transcribing it, but just the good parts. So the actual novel is the good parts version. And so, yeah, I thought it was funny. And, like, the whole premise of, like, the movie, how they present it is how it's in the book, but it's different because it's the author cutting away and be like, so I'm cutting this whole section because there's, like, a whole love scene, and I don't want to bore you with that. And, like, there's full lines from the movie that were in the book that, like, you've killed my father, prepare to die. And he, like, says it over and over again. And you keep saying that line, but I don't think it means what you think it means. Like, that line. And, like, they were like, the most cordial sword fight I've ever seen. Yes, that is in the book too. The only thing really not in the book that was in the movie was basically almost everything Billy Crystal says. Like that whole character, I think they let him improvise, and honestly, that part was good. Like I was gonna say, it's better than the book. Honestly, what's better, the book or the movie? Yes. Like if you like the movie, you're gonna like the book. If you like the book, you're gonna love the movie. I was like there were so many lines that were matching with what I remember from the movie. I was waiting whenever I got to the Billy Crystal's character. I forgot the name of the character. When I remember who it was though. When I got to that scene, I think the wife, the liar. I think she's made up for the movie. I don't remember her being in the book, but I was waiting for the have fun storming the castle. I say that all the time, and that wasn't in the book. There is one thing that was in the book that they left out of the movie. I don't think they needed it, because he explains it. It does kind of a flashback. The Montoya, like, oh, I forgot the guy's name. It's part of the quote, like, my name is Montoya. You killed my father. Like him when he's telling the story, like it does, like he's telling the story in the movie. He tells the story of how his father was killed by the guy with the 6 hands, 6 fingers. Wow. And in the book, it actually does like a full flashback and tells that whole story. And that's like the only thing left out of the movie. But again, he tells the story in the movie. He tells the story, and it's done so well. You don't really need a flashback. Followed that up with The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Spas. I don't. I just realized I don't know how to pronounce that. Spassky. I am assuming that's right. Read by Noah Galvin. Started 11th of April, finished the 13th of April. I'd seen the movie when it came out, and I didn't remember much about it. I just remembered Emma Watson standing up in a tunnel. That's the only thing I remembered. Oh, and Heroes by David Bowie. That's the only thing I remembered from the movie. And then I read the book. Or Noah Galvin read the book, and I listened to him read it. That's still an issue for people. When they say, oh, I read this book, they're like, you didn't read it, you listened to it. Like, it's the same thing. But this is one of those books that, like, it's presented in an interesting way. It's not just straight up the story. It's presented in letters. Like he's writing letters to an anonymous person, and that's how the story is told. It's different. Kind of an emotional story. Like the book is way darker than the movie. I will say that. Some of these, after I read the book, I watched the movie. Jurassic Park and Lost World, I did not, because I actually just did last year. So, it's not that I don't want to watch them again. It's Jurassic Park, of course I want to watch it again, but I didn't want to watch it again. I don't have a whole lot of time, I work a lot, and then I got other stuff to do, and so, like, not all of these I watched again. I watched The Princess Bride immediately after reading the book. And the same with The Perks of Being a Wallflower. The one after that, Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, read by Gordon Griffin. Started on the 13th of April, finished on the 15th of April. And when I told people that I was reading this, the number one thing I heard was, wait, that was a book? Yeah, it was a book. What do you think? It was like a random story, like Hand Me Down or whatever? Like, it was a Lon Chaney movie, and then it got remade to the point where it's unrecognizable? No. It was based on a book. And honestly, I've seen several adaptations. And again, this is one I didn't watch after, because I watched it last year, I believe, because I covered it for Casablanca recently, and I think it was last year. But I just I've seen it 100 times. I didn't even need to watch it for Casablanca. I watched it just because I wanted to watch it. I didn't this time. And same thing with the Lon Chaney, Mary Pickford one, because I just Mary Philbin, not Mary Pickford. I didn't watch that one again because I just watched that one a few months too. So I've basically watched both main versions of Phantom of the Opera recently. But I would love to see an adaptation actually adapting the book. I think the closest I've seen was the 2004 one with Gerard Butler and Emmy Rossum. That's because that one's close. That one, I mean, other than the singing, story wise, it's kind of close. But the guy that like the stagehand that gets hung halfway through the movie. The book opens with that. That's like the inciting event, like almost the opening paragraph. Because the way that it's laid out in the book is from 1910. And the way it's laid out, it's like a detective story. And there's like a detective trying to, it's like piecing together clues on this opera ghost. And then it's uncovered to be Eric. And then his story is uncovered. There's like a character from the book that's left out of every adaptation, the Persian. And he's basically the one telling the detective the story. And it's like, as the story's going on, I'm like, why don't they adapt this? This is really cool. But alas, they do not. I followed that with Speak by Laurie Halls Anderson, read by Mandy Siegfried. Started 15th of April, finished the 16th of April. I actually read this one for the first time in 2010, followed by the movie. And people will tell you that if this movie ever does get brought up, I've only heard it brought up a very few times. If it is brought up, it's the fact that it was the debut film of Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart. It was her very first movie. I think she was like 14. She was like really young in the movie. And yeah, like I almost didn't read this one this month because it's not like it's the same as The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but it's similar. Like to me, I was like, that's too similar, but like I finished it and I'm like, okay, that's not exactly the same thing. Like a high school outcast, but like she's made to be outcast because of stuff that happened to her, stuff that she was saying happened to her and did happen to her, and people finally believe her. And then this is one I did watch after the movie. I did watch the movie after, and then after that, The Odyssey by Homer, read by Mark Nelson, started the 16th of April, finished the 17th of April. And I've seen a bunch of different adaptations, and none of them matched up, and I've always been kind of confused, like, what's with The Odyssey? I don't understand it. There's all these adaptations are so radically different, and apparently the upcoming Christopher Nolan version of The Odyssey is going to follow the book. I hope so, because it was kind of confusing. Like, I kind of see why all the adaptations didn't make sense, because the book itself didn't really make sense. I don't know if I'm just too stupid to understand it or something, but like, it finished and I'm like, okay, on to the next one. So, because that one was, I guess, really intelligent, even though it was thousands of years old, I went the complete opposite direction. Very simplistic. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, read by Douglas Hodge. Started the 17th of April, finished the 17th of April. There are two main adaptations of this book. There's the Willy Wonka and there's a Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. I can't words. Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then there's the Johnny Depp, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Everybody loves the Willy Wonka one, and everyone hates the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory one. I like them both, but here's the thing. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory actually follows the book. And Roald Dahl hated Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because they like toned it way down. It was, and like I see it. Like you read the book and you go watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You're like, okay, I get where they got this story, but not exactly. I think the only thing they really left was the tunnel scene, that there's no earthly way of knowing which direction they are going or which way the river's flowing. That scene, like, it's not sung. There are songs in the book. In fact, the Johnny Depp movie actually takes it. Every time there's one of the kids get taken away and the Oompa Loompas taking them away and they sing, those lyrics are taken from the book. And then they make up new lyrics for the Willy Wonka one. That scene in the tunnel where he says that, he speaks it. It's not sung, it's spoken. And then they turn it into kind of, you know what? I just thought about it. It's not exactly a song in the movie either. He's like, there's no earthly way of knowing which direction they are going. It just feels like a song. I just realized that. It's like, that's a song. No, it's not. He speaks it. It's spoken in the book. Nah. Again, I cannot words. And the one after that, I didn't watch either adaptation because I didn't feel like it. Also, I didn't have time. So the next adaptation, the next book, I actually did the opposite. I watched the movie first. There's a movie coming out. It's a sequel, and I hadn't seen the first movie, so I looked it up. It's on Disney Plus, and I watched it. And during the opening credits, it said based on a novel by, and I'm like, wait, that's a novel. So after I watched the movie, I added The Devil Wears Prada to my list. It's by Lauren Weisberger, read by Bernadette Dunn. Started the 19th of April, finished the 21st of April. And I was telling my coworkers about it when I said I was reading The Devil Wears Prada. They're like, "Oh, I love it. That's a funny movie. It's a funny book." And I'm like, "Ha, no. They completely they changed the genre almost. Like the movie is a straight up comedy. The book is more of like a psychological thriller. I want to say it has funny moments, but I wouldn't call it a comedy. Like in the movie, by the end of the story, also spoiler in case anyone's not seen that. I think I'm the last person to see it because like everyone else has seen it and I hadn't. When I would tell people I hadn't seen it yet, they were like, "You haven't?" I'm like, "I have now." But at the end of the movie, like Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep they didn't become friends. They just became friendly. I guess like respected each other or something. In a way, there's like that little smile they give each other. In the book, no. They like Andy, that's her name. I was gonna say Anne Hathaway, like in the book, she's not Anne Hathaway, she's just a character. She basically like straight up destroys Miranda Priestley on accident. But like on purpose. You have to read it. Just read it. I want you to read it because the book, I know this is cliche. The movie is a classic. I love it. I love the movie. I cannot wait for the sequel. The book is better. And then the following the following book was What's Eating Gilbert Grape by Peter Hedges, read by, I'll get back to that, actually. It's a funny story about who the narrator ended up being. So I grew up watching the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and I found out a few years ago it was actually a book, and I always wanted to read it. And because I watched this video on YouTube talking about in depth how the book goes more into details about life in Aurora, and like there's a whole bunch of characters going on, character stories. There's characters left out of the movie, and I was like, that actually sounds really interesting. I want to read that, but I never got around to it. And then I was like, you know what? This is adapted month. I added it to the list. I was set on reading this book this month, and I went to go look up an audiobook, and there isn't one. Well, there is one, but it's not available online. It's not on Audible. It's not on Hoopla, Libby, any of those things. I never do this. I am strongly against pirating, but I even looked on the Pirate Bay and it wasn't on there. I did find an audiobook. It's on something called Learning Bee or something like that. I forgot the name. But I was like, oh, there it is. It had the download link, and I clicked download, and it said, become a member. It's like a school thing. You can sign up as a student, but you have to have like your school ID thing, like your school invite, like your school sends you an invite link, and you click it, and then you're a member as a student. But if you're not a student, you have to pay like $200 a year to have access to this thing. And I'm like, I just want to listen to one audiobook. There's not even a free trial or anything. So I ended up not doing that. Instead, I found something. There's an app called Audiobooks Unlimited to Kindle. And I hate this, and I'm only going to do it this one time because I'm so strongly against it, especially after doing it this one time, and because it was such a bad experience. That app, basically, it connects to your Kindle app and has an AI narrator. I bought the book on Kindle for like $2, and I had AI read it. You can pick the voice, and I tried to pick something as close to Johnny Depp as I could, and it didn't even, because all the voices, like, none of them sounded close. There was one that kind of sounded kind of neutral, and I'm like, I'm going to go with this one. If you've never heard of Gilbert Grape, the movie, you're probably confused why I wanted to sound like Johnny Depp. Yeah, he plays Gilbert Grape in the movie in 1993. Very young Johnny Depp. I will say, oh yeah, before I actually read it, I bought a copy of the book. I've actually got it over there. I don't even know why I said that. You can't even see me. So I own a physical copy of What's in Gilbert Grape, and then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, I like the added story and everything, but it definitely didn't age well. In the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio plays Gilbert Grape's brother called Ernie Grape, and he's basically mentally challenged. I'll just say that. And in the book, Gilbert Grape basically calls him the R word all the time. He calls him Ernie sometimes, but then like in narration, he calls him the R word. It's like, and then the R word came over here, and then blah blah blah, and then he has a birthday party at the end. It was a bunch of R words. The guests were a bunch of R words, and then the R word just climb the water tower again, and then the R word this, the R word that, the R word, the R word, the R word. I'm like, this is really uncomfortable. Yeah, I still highly recommend the movie. Not so much the book. And that leaves 3 more books for the month of April, for adapted month. And I decided to end it with probably the best adaptation ever. Number 38 of the year, book 38, was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, read by Andy Serkis. Started the 23rd of April, finished the 25th of April. 39th book The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, read by Andy Serkis, started the 25th of April, finished the 26th of April. And book 40, finishing my Goodreads goal, was The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien, read by Andy Serkis, started the 26th of April, finished the 27th of April, which is today. And if you've seen them, you realize those are long books. So how did I finish them in like basically a day each? Okay, so in January, if you remember, I read The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien and read by Andy Serkis. And yeah, it was 10 hours long. The audiobook was 10 hours long. And I'm like, oh, I could do that's like 30 hours. I can do that. And I had a week left in the month. I can do that. But The Hobbit apparently is much shorter than the other 3 books. And each one was like between 20 to 22 hours. And the combined total of all 3 was 63 hours. And I'm like, oh, I did not realize that until I started it. And now I'm committed, so I've got to do this. And so what I did, and I also don't recommend doing this, and I was just trying to get through it as fast as I could, so I did just that. I set the speed to 2.5x. Luckily, Andy Serkis was really good at enunciating, so I was still able to catch what he was saying and understand it. The books do go a lot further than the movies, as you would imagine, because the combined total of all 3 extended editions are 11 hours, and the books are 63 hours, so yeah, there's more details in the books. There's like a whole world there. And like well, there's a bunch of characters left out of the movies, but the one that everyone keeps bringing up is Tom Bombadil. And I was like, what's so special about him? Well, now I know. He's like one of my favorite characters. I keep saying Andy Samberg. At any point in the past, if I said Andy Samberg while talking about Lord of the Rings on accident and didn't catch it, I meant Andy Serkis. Anyway, I love his voices he does, and like he basically sings Tom Bombadil's lines, and he gets Tom Bombadil gets Frodo to sing at one point, and I was like, oh, it's such a fun character. And then and later in the second and third books, you meet Treebeard, who those scenes in the movie, I've always hated those scenes with Treebeard and the trees. I always thought those were boring. I hated those scenes. Like, let's move on. But I think Treebeard is one of my favorite characters in the books. He's also fun, but like in a different way. It's I don't know. I like it. Maybe it's the way Andy Serkis reads it, but I like it. But yeah, that was book 40. That wraps up Adapted month. And yeah, I realize there's still 4 months left in this day. Wait, no. There's there's 4 days left in this month, and I'm posting this a little earlier than I normally would, but yeah. I also today I'm working, and my next day, I'm off today. My next day off is May 2nd, and I wouldn't have had time to do this beforehand, so that's another reason I was trying to get through them quickly, because, yeah. So I guess I'm technically going to take a 4-day break from reading. I basically crammed in the Lord of the Rings trilogy in like less time than the movies. Actually, roughly the same time as the movies, I think. Maybe. I don't know. They're 2.5x speed. So, I'm not good at mathing. So, May will not be a themed month, but I already have it kind of mapped out. Like, not fully. I know what the first... How many books do I have here? 5. I have the first 5 books mapped out. There's not a theme technically, but there kinda is. I mean, I can kind of say it because it's not a spoiler or anything. It's more of a personal theme. It's books from a certain era that I either read or had and didn't read. So that's very, very, very specific. So that's so specific that it gives nothing away, and you have no idea what books I'm talking about. So yeah, I guess I'll see y'all next. Well, I'll see y'all next month on a recap. I'm still planning on doing more episodes on this podcast in the meantime, but yeah, if you only listen to the book recaps, I'll see you next month.
The Rambler Network.